So a lot of you guys were curious about what fragrances I wear on the cruise ship. Let's talk about it. This is J-ROYL, the channel where we talk about fragrances, perfumes, colognes, stuff you put on to make yourself smell good. Whether you're a big-time fragrance collector and you're really into this hobby, or you're someone that is just curious about the odd cologne or two, this is a channel for everyone, so consider subscribing if you haven't, click that notification bell, and like the video at the end if you end up liking it. If you've been following the channel, you will know that I have been on a cruise ship, not cruising, but working, for many months now. And I've had to downsize my collection temporarily from hundreds and hundreds of fragrances to around 10-ish. It was a really hard decision to narrow down my fragrance collection so drastically, but I had to, because when you come on board, you have a limited amount of space in your cabin, you also have a limited amount of space in your wardrobe when you're traveling, and fragrances can get pretty heavy. I'm not one to have a lot of decants. If you don't know, some people do collect little vials of fragrance, which allows you to have a wider variety of fragrances at a much lower cost because you're not investing in full bottles, just little decants that you can travel with. My thought process going into this contract was to simplify my life a little bit when it comes to fragrances, just as an experiment. Bring 10 or so fragrances with you, see how they fare. And what's been nice is I've been getting a lot of use out of all of these fragrances. Normally I have a fragrance rotation that is in the hundreds. So it's hard for me to really experiment with a fragrance for an entire year, and I've been able to do that. So what fragrances did I bring with me? I'm pretty sure a few of you can make some guesses. Some will surprise you. First fragrance I decided to bring was a no-brainer. It's Imitation Man. Not only is Imitation Man the flavor of the year for me, this is a fragrance that I bought with Leslie, my girlfriend, and the fact that we're doing this contract together, it really was an easy decision to bring this fragrance. This means a lot to me, it means a lot to her, it means a lot to us, okay? Another easy choice was Cedro de Taormina by Acqua di Parma. This is my backup bottle of Cedro de Taormina, the bigger one. I got two because that's how much I wear it, especially in the warmer weather. And being on this side of the world in Australia and the French Polynesian Islands, it's a fantastic masculine fragrance that works very well when your skin heats up. And I've been getting a lot of wear out of it. This is my go-to fragrance when I'm just casually putting something on outside. It really works wonderfully. But my other Acqua di Parma fragrance may surprise a lot of you. Acqua di Parma Colonia Essenza. This is a fragrance that I haven't talked about a whole lot on my Acqua di Parma lists, just because I ended up getting it pretty late on in my fragrance collection. The reason being, I don't necessarily think it completely suits my personality type. I like fragrances that are a little more unique, a little more fun, but what I do know is Essenza, it's a fantastic fragrance at what it does. It's very masculine, professional, clean, sophisticated, and when I want to feel those things in a work environment, it really does a fantastic job. So that's why I decided to bring it along with me, and it's been getting some good use. I'm not gonna lie, it's been nice. Next up we have the Ormond Jane Boys. Montebacco Intensivo and Ormond Man. These are two fragrances that I purchased in Miami. I didn't buy it off some guy in the back alleys of Aventura Mall. I bought it over Facebook, and they were delivered to me while I was in rehearsals for the contract that I'm on right now. Montebacco Intensivo was kind of the one I was really looking at because I love the original Montebacco so much when I sampled it earlier on in the year. But I did see a nice opportunity to pick up both of these partial bottles, and you know, you might as well go with Ormond Man too because it's the man. It's the man. It's the kind of the quintessential masculine Ormond Jane fragrance. So it's been nice to have. But let me tell you guys, Montebacco Intensivo is a fantastic fragrance. Although I will say, the regular one is just as good, and in some ways it could be even a little bit better. It just depends on your nose. The difference is quite slight, I will say. But for whatever reason, the original one, when I wore it, it worked really well in the Miami heat. But in this environment, the Intensivo version has suited me perfectly. So, Ormond Jane Boys. My newest acquisition is none other than Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Ooh. this is a fragrance that I didn't think I would pick up, to be completely honest, because I am so infatuated with the eau de parfum. The eau de parfum is right in the middle of EDT and parfum, obviously, just based on the concentration, but also in its smell, because it has a little bit of the freshness of the original, just a little bit. It has the thickness of the parfum. That being said, on a cruise ship, even though I'm outside a lot on, the beaches and Australian streets, I'm also walking around the cruise ship quite often, which in many cases is climate-controlled environments, professional attire, and that's where this is fantastic. It's a fragrance that's not going to offend people because it doesn't have huge projection, but it's there, and it sits there for quite a while. It has the incensey, darker aspect of Bleu de Chanel down to a T, really amplified. So I'm glad to have it, and one of the main reasons I got it was because it was duty-free. And Chanel's duty-free, always a good idea in my books. I don't have any books. It's 2019, who uses books? And finally, to round out my collection, I have 6 fragrances from the house of Parfums Vintage. These fragrances were sent to me while I was in Miami by the company. Now these 2 I already had. Pineapple Vintage Noir was a fragrance that I traded to get originally. And X-Batch, I had the 50ml bottle, but then I was given the 100ml bottle, which I've been using quite extensively. It's been a bit of a workhorse, this contract. But these are 2 fragrances I've been very familiar with, obviously, because I've been using them for a while now. Another one, Sunset in Heaven, the Baccarat Rouge 540 clone. I mean, here's the thing, guys. It's pretty nice to get free stuff. Boy, if you don't get... Because these are high quality clones, I mean, I gotta say. Sunset in Heaven is the one fragrance that I no longer wear though. I ended up giving it to Leslie, and she seems to be really enjoying it. I just feel it suits her better than me. That's why I gifted it to her, and she's been really liking it. And she's been getting compliments with it too. So ladies, if you have Baccarat Rouge 540, or Sunset in Heaven, just give it a try. It's not just for men. And the 3 newest fragrances that Parfums Vintage has gifted to me. I don't know how I feel about it, but Sandal Amber, Imbue, and X-Batch Intense. Now some of these fragrances I've talked about in previous videos, one I have not yet. But these are all great fragrances. I mean, what can I say, guys? Here's the thing. I don't like Parfums Vintage because they send me free stuff. Parfums Vintage sends me free stuff because I like Parfums Vintage. When it comes to the fragrances that are inside of these bottles, it really is a step above than some of the other colognes that I've smelt on the market. You just have to pick and choose which ones are right for you. Some are clones of fragrances that have been discontinued but can still be found. Others are a little harder to find, like the Amber Absolute clone. But I find that I've thoroughly enjoyed X-Batch, X-Batch Intense, and most importantly, Pineapple Vintage Noir. And that's because those are the fragrances that aren't direct clones. Yes, they were definitely inspired by other fragrances, but they do things in their own way. And I think that's a very important thing to focus on. The fragrances that stand out on their own, those are the ones that I really like to reach for. Don't get me wrong, while I'm on the cruise ship, I reach for Imbue quite a bit now because I love Gucci Pour Homme d'Eau and I don't have it with me here. But will I reach for this as much at home? Maybe not. So it really is a mixed bag for me on board. I have a nice variety of fragrances, formal, casual, warm weather mostly, but there's some cool weather stuff in case it gets really, really rotten outside, which it does. But I've been having a lot of fun just wearing these fragrances. It really has been a nice experiment and a bit of a change of pace. What I can't wait to share with you guys are my most complimented fragrances that I worn on the cruise contract. At the end of the contract, I'm putting out a video of the results, how well the reception was, the performance, all of that. So that's gonna be a fun video to do. I have a small sample size that I'm working with this year, so I can actually give you some real time, real experience, instant feedback. So I hope you look forward to that. And can you smash the like button, maybe? It's really good for my analytics, guys, you know what I'm saying? Today's unofficial sponsor is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola No Sugar. Did you know they do that here in Australia? It's no sugar, it's not Coke Zero. But we all know it's Coke Zero because it's got the black accent. And if you're still here, guys, there's cool videos you can watch if you want. Just check them out, click on them, subscribe if you haven't. You can share this video too if you think I'm real cool.